All right.
And we are joined from Cedar Hill, Texas, right outside the beautiful city of Dallas, by April Barker, the tech queen herself, UX designer, HBCU grad. We thank you so much for fitting us in your tight schedule today. This is for all of our computer science engineering classes in Madison County schools. I've got a room full here with me at Velma Jackson High School, and we're recording this for all of our friends, including my good friend Angela Jordan over at Shirley Simmons Middle School, and of course, Tiffany Turnage up at the MCTC. So thank you so much for taking some time out for us today.
You're welcome. It is my pleasure.
Now, before we get into all you do as a UX designer, because UX designers, I don't think people realize, probably touch 90% of what we do on an everyday basis. You went to the historic Paul Quinn College there in Dallas, great HBCU, and your degree was not in tech. You made a pivot to tech later in your career. So just give us a little background about your college education, and how that led you to where you are today.
So, um, honestly, I was in school at Lincoln High School in South Dallas, which is basically historically just the part where prior to integration, there were two schools where Blacks went to school, no matter where they lived in Dallas. And so Lincoln High School was one of them, Madison was the other. And so, of course, we had all kinds of creative programs there. So it was a wonderful school experience, but there was lots of conflict, lots of gangs, drugs, violence, all of that. And so in the rows that grew from concrete Tupac reference, there was a world-renowned choir that I was in. I was in that choir, but I was also fighting the street life. And so college, I wasn't thinking about college. I was thinking day to day. I'm just trying to get through life day to day. I ended up getting a choir scholarship to a local school, which might sound crazy to some, but South Dallas was its own city. So Oak Cliff, where the school was, I was like, how will I get there? Where will I stay? So I ended up going to that school after just having a horrible summer after I graduated. I thought I was going to move to another state and just, work somewhere and just get out of Dodge. That didn't go well. And I came back to Dallas trying to figure out what to do. And that scholarship was sitting there. So that's how I ended up at Paul Quinn College. I'm going to be honest with you. I was looking to major in something that did not require high level math, straight up. That's what happened. That's how I ended up having a communications major. It was either communications or psychology. Going to a HBCU, everybody is family. So from admissions, everybody there was, they were working with me, trying to get me in, trying to help me make these decisions, trying to help me fill out FAFSA. They were so happy that I was there. Trying to find other scholarships. Do you know how to do this? You can do this and get a scholarship. And so, if it hadn't been for that hands on, we're part of your family now, I probably would not have made it through the whole overwhelming process of just going on a college campus and trying to figure out how to just even get admitted into school, even with a scholarship from my school. The scholarship wasn't full ride, but it was a very good amount of schooling. And so communications, I like to talk to my friends and I like to sing and I like the idea of writing and journalism. And I don't know if you've heard of Photoshop, anybody here, but that is kind of the program they had back then in the early 2000s. So it's like Photoshop. So we weren't yet all digital. We weren't yet, I went in 98. And so we were still getting into email. And I remember saying to myself, this is my tech journey start right here. Why would someone send an email when they can just call someone? Literally my own words. Why would they do that? Why don't they just pick up the phone and call them? So y'all know I'm aging myself, but that is exactly what I felt when they started the email. That was in 99 when I started emailing.
Wow. Now, one thing I did want to mention real quick, because obviously, with it being Black History Month, we'd be remiss to not speak about an HBCU experience because we have seven HBCUs here in Mississippi, and we have a lot of kids that don't want to look at the HBCUs because they see the big SEC schools, the big PWIs. And look, we have some great PWIs here in Mississippi, both public and private, and we encourage everyone to make the best decision for themselves. But I think something that does not get mentioned enough is that
Mhm.
HBCU stands for historically black. It does not stand for exclusively black. So there really is a place for
That's
everyone.
correct.
You meet people from all over the world, Europe,
Yeah.
South America, Asia, Africa, all parts of the United
Oh,
States.
yes.
So that
Yes.
aspect of the HBCU is often forgotten, and I think is so important.
Yeah. Some of my closest friends actually were a part of the international club. And so going to HBCU and Paul Quinn now, the thing about the start of them is we were not allowed to school anywhere else. And so just the inclusivity is real. And what I love about HBCU is the humility that teaches you a global mindset and says we dare not become a part of ask for inclusion, and then when we obtain it, be exclusive. So, as you know, anyone can go to an HBCU. And so we have a great mix right now at Paul Quinn College of different cultures. The point is, you are fully supported from start to finish right now. I can go on campus, and the person that hired me for my first full-time job on campus, a lot of times people stay on campus and work. She's still there in the library, working in the library. The one that did a wedding shower for me and a baby shower for me in the library because I worked there. So HBCU is lifelong friends and family. So you'll never be alone when you're going to an HBCU. They care about you as an individual. And so that's something you can't pay for. And they're working towards you being out of debt for the most part when you leave that school. So there's nothing like it. I have friendships right now today, family. We've raised our kids together from that experience. So
Absolutely. And I know most of the kids that'll see this later in middle school, but as they start making college decisions, I really hope everybody considers
yeah,
looking into our HBCUs here or in other parts of the country, but it really is something to look
yeah,
into. Now, obviously, you
yeah,
got the degree in communications, but that's even though you do some sort of communications now, you're a UX designer.
yes,
I think a lot of people don't know what a UX designer is, but a UX designer for all the technology we use today
yes,
plays a huge part in our everyday lives. I was just talking about, I was like, look, guys, when you go into McDonald's and go to that dang kiosk to put in your order, a UX designer designed that interface for you to order your food. When you go to an airport and you're doing your online check-in, a UX designer designed that interface for you to check your bag.
yes,
When you are on your app, a UX designer worked with that app developer to design the interface, especially for
yes.
a non-technology app. Everybody has apps now. You go to church, they're saying scan our QR code for our app. A UX designer designed that interface. So it really is something that is in every part of our lives.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that you've made it so clear, and I just want to just touch on that. Each one of you all that has ever want to break down that barrier that you have to have some type of brilliance, which we all do, but you just have to be so good at science or so good at, you just have to love technology, and all of the things that we feel like, oh, that doesn't interest me. No, you have the ability and the capability to have a career in tech. And UX simply means user experience. And so I love when you can explore something that you don't know instead of running from it. And so it means user experience. And you're a user. Someone will be a user, whether it is a paper you write, the person that's reading it is having a user experience of reading your paper. Whether or not you love styling your clothes, the person that see what you put together is having a user experience by looking at the way that you dress. And so if you make music, the listening experience is the user experience. And if you think about it, you had a system that you put into place in order to produce that paper, to produce that outfit, to produce that music. And so that is what user experience is it's about. It's about saying, I have this product I want to create, and your audience is your peers, right? That's who you get fresh for. You want to pass your courses, so that's who you're preparing your work for, your teachers. And so you're already designing right now in your everyday life.
Absolutely. And we, like we said, especially since COVID, more and more industries are getting more technical, more app-based, more web-based. So there's never been a bigger need for this type of career
Yeah.
for kids coming out of high school. Now, we mentioned
Yeah.
your HBCU experience. I said we got some great
Yeah.
PWIs here as well. But this is a type of career where we have kids that say, look, I want to work in tech. I think UX design would be really cool, but I'm not really a
Yeah.
college person. So
Yeah.
would this be a career that somebody could get into, getting some certifications in high school, getting some certifications at community colleges, and then move into and do very well in?
So I'm going to be real frank with you. And this is something that, a lot of people don't like for people to say. But the fact of the matter is, your passions are already pushing you right now. And so if you love gaming, if you're like online all the time and you're doing different apps and you just, I have my app for this and that, you're already having user experiences all the time and you're already frustrated at times. And so that's a part of the UX design process. And so you are already in the field, you're already in there as a user and sometimes as somebody who gives feedback, which is really big with UX design. What went wrong? What didn't I like? How did I feel as a user? And so I would say they have lots of ways. They have certificates that you can take. If there's a company that you're looking at, like Google and Microsoft, Verizon, there's so many companies that are giving out education in technology. Just because now we're going to have to learn more about, and we already do, how to make websites, how to make apps. And so if you have a company and you're an entrepreneur, your company is going to need a mobile app, because people aren't just sitting on a desktop and going to a website. And so you would save so much money if you knew how to do basic, simple web applications. And so more than likely, I would say that some of you have already like looked into stuff and made a Wix website where you've already done some coding, you've already non-coding creation. So, and you've already designed your website when you're putting in pictures and when you're picking the colors and when you're going to Canva. Some of you are making flyers. So you do not have to have a 4-year degree to become a UX designer. Now, what I do want to say about college is a lot of colleges are, I believe college is important. Let me make my pitch for college. And what I found that helped in college is that it's like a precursor to jumping out into the real world. So you get to live somewhere, manage a small budget, get up in the morning and get to class. So it's kind of like you're in the real world, but then you have this buffer because you do have teachers and voices of authority that are kind of helping and guiding and holding you accountable versus going out and getting an apartment or a home and jumping into a self-paced course, which a lot of boot camps are. Boot camps can be anywhere from 6 months to a year or 2 years, but you have to have that discipline, right? To actually do your own work and to turn things in. And so being that our brains are not fully developed until we're 25, there's a lot of things that come with having that type of discipline. It's very rare at 18. Not saying you can't do it, but I just want you to know that whichever route you go, I'm 44 right now. I just got into UX design about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So I still went and took another route with my 4-year degree. So
Yeah, and another path into
I
tech.
hope that answered the question.
Oh, it did. It did. Another path into tech that I think gets overlooked a lot is military, especially now the Space Force and the Air Force, and all the
Oh
branches
man.
really, but the Space Force and the Air Force is dealing with some of the most
Yes.
state-of-the-art technology that
Yes.
the general public does not have access to. And I meet kids all the time that say, look, I wanted to work in tech. I
Yes.
wanted to get some formal training, but I didn't want to spend money going to college. I'm not
Yeah.
really a classroom person. I wanted
Yeah.
to travel. So
Right.
right now, I don't think there's been a better time to get into the military. You get paid to learn the things, and then when you get out, you're looking at making six
Hmm.
figures, and you're ahead of the curve.
That's right.
A lot of the training.
That's right. So funny you mentioned that. Both of my parents are veterans. I'm originally from San Antonio. I have siblings that have gone into the Army, and my daughter, who is graduating, is already signed up to go to the Marines. And she has always had in her mind that she wanted to be a biologist. And she said she was going to go into the military and get them to pay for her schooling and also serve her country. And so I just want you all to know that that is a great option. And I think that when you have, again, you think of yourself as a lifelong learner, it takes away the pressure of trying to figure out everything and understanding that if I go into something and I have a great 10 years in that field, I can also move into something maybe in UX design. And then they might say, I want to go into cybersecurity. Then they might say, I want to go into project design management. So the sky is the limit. And I just want you to know, whichever way that you choose to go, that the main thing is making the decision to go forward and in some kind of way incorporate tech into your career.
Yeah, and like I said, we're all about giving kids options, and I'd be remiss, our middle school students
Yes.
are gonna, once they get into high school, they're gonna have even more options because even in our school district, we have
Wow.
IT certifications they can get before they graduate. They have animation and simulation courses, so those are really tie into UX design, which we've already said
Mhm.
is a booming field, and they can have experience in that before they even graduate high school. So really, really want
Mhm.
everybody to weigh their options and figure out where they can fit in because this is a field that, like we said, touches so many parts of our life. Um, Now, before I get to the students' questions, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the fact that you are a published author. So,
Yeah.
talk about your series of books that you guys have written, and because it's really interesting. I think one of the things that gets
Okay.
overlooked in tech is it's just tech, 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 and you focused on, you made a journal about it. So, talk about
Mhm.
where it came about,
Yeah.
who it appeals to, and how, and obviously how they can find it.
Okay, so basically, they made us write a poem, and I said, it's no joke when people smoke. And I remember doing the little thing, and the lady was smoking a cigarette, and the kid was coughing. I don't know why I did that. I was just told, I was an 80s baby. We just said whatever we wanted to say. And so what happened is I continued in high school, in college, when I got to college in communications, we had to write a lot. And I just continued to like to write. And so I ended up, of course, I was an avid reader. And in order to like really write, you got to read a little bit. So being like encouraging words in emails to a group that I was in. And so that got published. And then it's just always been a part of my journey after that in publishing what I'm thinking about because Amazon allows you to self publish. And so that's UX design, creating covers, creating formats for books. Any product that you're creating, when you design it, that's user experience design. And so when I graduated from boot camp, there was just a really big influx of jobs, but they wanted more experience. So I was like, okay, I'm going to make a journal. I've always wanted to. And so I wanted to incorporate AI. So I generated images and prompting to AI. And I said, afros, and I want them to have, and I just made my specifics. And so I had about 4 or 5 different images that come up, and I would just put in something different. I was training the AI to put the right image that I wanted out, and it created an image. So my first journal has the image that it was created. The second one has an image for kings in tech because it's Tech Queen. So then I said, I talked to some young people at Smash in Atlanta and they were looking into tech kings going to college. So I'm about to release Tech Queens going to college because I feel like the journey. There's nothing in it but lines, but write what your thoughts are because you're going to look back in a year and you're going to see, I said I wanted to do this and I didn't. Or in 10 years, you'll say, I wrote this down and look, it happened. And so you're amazing. Your thoughts are amazing. And journals help you to process things that maybe you're not having opportunity to share verbally. So it's
Yeah,
on Amazon. I'm on Amazon.
yeah,
April
and
Deshawn
we'll
Barker
definitely,
on Amazon.
yeah, we'll definitely share that link with all the other teachers. But that's so important, especially it's no coincidence that we're doing this during Black History Month. One thing in the Black community, and again, I'm obviously outside looking in, and I'm not an expert by any.
Yeah,
But one thing that in the Black community is the mental health and mental well-being was overlooked for so long. So it really is
yeah.
so important for anyone, no matter what field they're going into, to find ways to express themselves, find ways to vent, find ways to not only to grow your knowledge, but grow the strength of your mind. Because it's such a terrible thing to waste. And I know we have so many
Mhm.
gifted kids in our district, and we just
Yeah.
really see all of them succeed. Well, I got time for a couple questions before we go. I like this first one. This is Zarius
Okay.
Cooper. He's a senior, and he asked, "What was your biggest
Hey, Zarius.
yeah, he asked, what was your biggest inspiration to jump into tech from your previous field?"
Straight up, Zarius, I got laid off. I got laid off twice. I was always in nonprofit. I was always in education. And I had a friend and she was like, I'm taking this tech thing and it's so fun. And she was talking about tech and so they had Black Genius Academy, which is still out there, free funding for you to have a career exploratory app where you learn more about UX design, cybersecurity, and software engineering. And then you decide at the end of the 7 videos, which way would you like to go? And I said, I want to do UX design, of course. And so I ended up applying for a boot camp and got a grant to get into a boot camp
Wow.
through Black Genius Academy, which is powered by Google and partnered with Career Karma. And so that's how I ended up going into tech because in my second layoff, it was a contract role. I didn't get a full-time job again. It was contract. And that meant that it could end at any time. So I started taking the journey seriously and I said a prayer and I said, God, I don't want loans. If I can get into this field for free, I'll go after it. And who can imagine getting into the field for free? I'm one of the OGs, and I'll say the older people in the Discord chat, and each person is pivoting. So it's definitely I'm journaling my own journey. That's how I got into it, just being pushed into a pivot.
That's awesome. I mean, just and I changed careers when I was 30 years old as well. So, and I always tell people it's okay. It's okay to change. If something's not working out, don't stay in something just because that's what you started. It is always okay
Wow.
to change, especially now. All right, I got time for one more. This is Bryson Stevens. He's
Yeah,
in ninth grade,
right.
and we mentioned the military. His
I'm
brother
scared.
is
Yeah.
actually a recent alum and is active duty Air Force up in Anchorage, Alaska, all the way from
Hi,
down here.
Bryce.
So really cool.
Okay.
And he asked, "What is the best thing
Mhm.
about your career?"
Wow. Oh, partnering with a team. So when you are creating an app or a website, you get to partner with developers, which software engineers, and they get to actually say, "Oh, this is what you want. We're going to code this." And so I love the team aspect of it because you get to work with people who you have no idea how to do what they do, and they have no idea how to do what you do, but you get to respect each other because just not being scared to work in a team. I love the team environment of creating apps and websites.
That's awesome. Now we're almost out of time, and we thank you so much for fitting us in your tight
All right.
schedule today. Uh,
Uh-huh.
it's such a joy to see
Thank
all the
you.
cool things you're doing and all the inspirational things you have. But real quick before we go, obviously, you're on Amazon, April Barker, Tech Queens,
Uh-huh.
Tech Kings. But the last thing before we go, well, why should these young people?
Instagram, yeah, at Tech Queen.
Okay, okay.
Hmm.
Now, the last thing before we go, and I apologize about my bad connection today, but we have heard everything you said, which has been really cool. But the last thing before we go is why is it so important for these kids to at least consider getting into this area of tech that is so fast growing?
It's important to change your family tree. The funds that you get in tech, the money, and I'm just gonna be real with you, it's life changing. And so I myself have not had that breakthrough contract yet, but even just in the private career start off if you're just doing help desk at 70,000. And so your first job in a tech role, a junior role, can be anywhere from 80 up. And so, and it goes up from there. You can literally make $500,000 doing a tech role. That's going to change the way that you move, the way that you think, your family dynamic. Is going to give hope to those in your family, and it's going to put you in a better position. It really will. Yeah.
Wow. That's good stuff. We're going to have to do this again. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed this. We thank you so much for joining us. I know you got to get back to work. April
Yes.
Barker, all the way from Cedar Hill,
Thank
Texas. We
you.
thank you so much for joining us today.
All right.